I was walking at night down an anonymous road. A long way I traveled, looking for loam and peat, to find a forest among the tall street lamps. I wasn't forgotten here. Something left me a note. Someone called on the rotary phone that hadn't worked since I unplugged it from the wall a decade ago. The lights flicker, and off to the sounds of honking and a brilliance in the light coming from fire, a match to lift the fog from my mind. Steps beat heavier on the pavement, a heartbeat away from turning around, but I can't see the landmarks, the directions, for the fog in my face. I hear the ringing and follow down an anonymous road where I wasn't truly forgotten. There's a matchbox in my pocket. The name has been destroyed. The rotary phone rings in the middle of the road. I light the match and burn it. The smoke causes fog to linger on the road, and I can't see for the fog in my face. The receiver is in my hand. I've asked, "Hello?" But there's a busy signal. Calling home, yet coming home to the fog in my mind. There is a sacrilegious entity that dwells deep within me. I have wrestled with her, at times feeding her to satiate her endless appetite, and at other times leaving her hungry, pushing back against her unyielding hold. I have intertwined myself with her in a perverse dance of passion and despair, yet she remains forever present, an inseparable part of my being. Untamed and raw, she courses along the edges of sanity, a primal force that sparks both dread and allure. When the moment of reckoning comes, the floodgates open and she is released, a horrifyingly beautiful embodiment of chaos and creation. I call her the Night Mother.
Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I've been sitting on some news, I've got another poetry collection coming out. Now, this one's quite a bit different than my other collections, and I kind of want to go over it. But first things first, it's coming out in a couple of days. I gave you like no time to process this information. I work within my own kind of deadlines, and like getting, poetry that I have in here or in all my notebooks, and trying to get them into one place and see if I can write manuscripts versus like what I've got and everything. And so doing that and writing new poetry and all that takes a lot of time and takes a lot out of me. It can take a lot out of me because to me, in my own, the way I access poetry, it's like channeling. So it drains me a lot. But with this one, this felt so vulnerable, so private. Okay. Now, look, I'm going to say this. A lot of my poetry collections are very vulnerable, right? They come from this like very personal place. But let me tell you, Feral Monologues, which is my latest one that just came out with the pink cover, that one really hit home because I gave a lot of poetry in that about real life, about being a mother, about being a wife, sister, a person, identity as a whole, right? It was really about my identity. And it felt very nerve-wracking to give it to the world, okay? This is just as vulnerable, if not even more, okay? Let's get into some information. First of all, I'm holding the two crystals that I associate with this poetry collection, which I haven't talked about before, but most of the time when I'm working on a specific manuscript, I'll have a couple of crystals that I kind of like have with me all the time. I like sleep with them, hold them when I'm working everything out. and have them on like my computer table with me, stuff like that. And I wanted to share them with you for this time around. I've got my Firestone. I call this my Firestone. It's like Flintstone. Beautiful piece of rock here. My God, can you believe the earth made this? Can you believe the earth made this thing? It's like translucent, but inside is the fire. Oh God, I don't even know what the hell this is. Like I said, I call it flint, but it might not be. And then this I got out of a creek bed, and it's real red jasper, right from the creek. The creek water was flowing over me, and it was just a beautiful experience. I love it. And it's so smooth, so sandy smooth. Like the sand has just eroded away all the hard edges of this rock. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. So this is my red jasper and my Firestone, my red flint. And that's my two crystals that I've been working with for this collection. And I've already sent my beta reader, my 2 beta readers. I sent a copy of this to peruse and get back to me and give me some insight, stuff like that. If you are interested in becoming a beta reader of mine, which just means that you get a free PDF copy of my poetry collections, or any of my books really, if you're interested, then I can put you into an email kind of a thing, and we can correspond. And I'll send you the paperwork to fill out, and then if you fill it out, you're in. And then I can let you know what's coming up. Okay. So anyway, I got really good feedback about this book. I got a little bit better feedback about this than I have my other ones. So it just kind of feels like maybe I'm evolving as an author. Maybe not as a poet, because a lot of my poetry, like I said, is channeled, coming from all the same places. But the way I'm doing the books and stuff like that, maybe I'm getting better at that. I don't know. I'm so happy that I can share these with you guys. Really, I'm so happy. I mean, this one was so vulnerable, but I've been getting imposter syndrome like crazy, okay? Like, I've been reading so much Anne Carson and Addie Limon, or Ada Limon, and oh my gosh, Decreation by Anne Carson just like wrecked me. And I don't know, I've just been reading so many other people's poetry after I finished this, because I was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not winning awards. I'm not sending my shit off to magazines. I love it so much. I just love to share it. You know, I just like want everyone that would need it and want it and feel it, and I just want everyone to, I don't know, that needs it to get it, you know. Also, this one's going to be a little bit cheaper. Now, I will say that Immaculate Immortality and Carpe Magica are my 2 thick books. They're 300 plus pages. They're priced at $16 or something because of the thickness and because of how much time and effort I put into making a 300-page book of poetry. And then the Feral Witch and Feral Monologues were in the 200-page bracket, so I priced them a little bit lower. And then with this one, I think I'm going to price this in like the $11 mark, you know, just slightly. So I'm trying to go off of page count and word count and time, and all of that all of that type of math takes it out of me, because I don't want it to be something unattainable, you know, and unaccessible to people. So, okay, anyway. I probably want to do an intro to this video, telling you the synopsis, telling you a little bit about the book, maybe just the synopsis, I don't know. But if you've seen that, then you kind of know what this is about. Now, you know I'm feral, right? You know that I like to talk about ferality. You know that I like to talk about, I have this wild, untamed soul thing that I'm an advocate for, right? And I had Feral Witch, which was witchcraft, ferality, seasonal, just juicy witchcraft stuff. And then Feral Monologues was more about my identity specifically. Had some magic in there, but it was kind of dotted in there, dotted along. But this one is about my feral soul. Now, as a witch, and as someone that works with spirits and works with beings and works with abstract deity in a larger sense, I tend to personify a lot of things work, the cogs in the machine, so to speak. And for this, I tend to, for the feral soul, the untamed soul that lives in me, so much of it is feral that I personify it. I act like it's its own deity, in a way. And I know that's going to sound crazy. Okay? But I call her the Night Mother. I call her Night Mother. It's a way for me to tap in when I need her. Right? I need her sometimes. I need her crazy. She's so crazy. She's so mad and insane and feral, and there's so much of my soul that lives in this solitude and solipsism, for lack of a better term. That you get brought up being surrounded by people all the time, and having me being told to my face that my daydreamy, whimsical side, I would grow out of it. I needed to come back down to earth, things like that. I had to form a way, and it never did, okay? First of all, this phase thing never went away, of me being this, like, inner monologue type girl, daydreaming type girl. Never really went away. So I had to find a way to personify it so that I could keep in touch with it, commune with it. And that's very much what I do to my feral soul, okay? So I call her the Night Mother, and I write a little bit in an introduction in the book for you guys, because if someone were to have just picked this up and it says Night Mother poetry, like, they would be like, okay, what the hell? What is this? So I did give a little backstory, a little information in the introduction, and then I put an author's note after that that says, let me pull this up for you guys. I got my laptop in front of me. I'm gonna share some poems, okay? You know me. The author's note says, "This poetry is in devotion to the wild feral beast that lives within my soul. The Night Mother is cunning, beautiful, terrifyingly horrific, and strangely sweet. Beware the transformations, the loose translations, the poetic expressions of an essence left bare in her presence. The verses here are to her and about her." So they kind of act like incantations, and poems, and like almost like letters to her, right? Like letters to my feral self. And a lot of them kind of read like that, if you will. So I don't know. Interestingly enough about this is that because this poetry collection is called Night Mother, and they're all about and to her, I don't have chapters. It's all this one theme of the Night Mother. And so, there you go. It's illustrated. I might put some illustrations for you to see, just for you to get a taste. Some of them are pretty brutal. Okay. I went a little scary with some of them, because to me, she has a horror element to her because of her rogue status. So, and then another interesting thing popped out about this is that while channeling a lot of these, I wrote quite a bit of long form poems, which I'm not really into, because I tend to, holding that channeling space for that long, it can be overwhelming, right? Because as a daydreamer, I can stay in that altered state for a long time if I want to, but inside of that altered state, there's another form of a space, of a sacred space. That's where I get the channeling, and being in that is almost like being inside of a fair ride that's just constantly vibrating like this. And so staying in that vibe to get that channeled message and that long form poem can be a lot on my body. But I was able to do it a couple of times actually for this book. And so yeah, a lot of rhyming ones. Of course, I like to rhyme. Which you would think that sounds simple. It sounds simple to rhyme, but it's not. But the rhyming poems tend to come easier for me than the free verse. So that's, again, something crazy that I found out through this journey of like putting my poems together in collections. So let's see what we can find out. Let's see which ones I'm going to share with you guys today. So we've got, and I title all of mine. I love to give my poems titles. I probably don't have to, but it's something about my poems that I like to do. I love to give them titles. It's almost like giving them names. And they can kind of stand on their own, you know? And if someone got this book and then really, really liked a poem, they could like type it up and print it out with the title and everything, and it would be kind of like this. I could make a shrine to some of my favorite poems that way, like print it out with their titles. It'd be like a name. It'd be like kind of like this weird contract that I have, this shrine contract that I've got with these poems, so they can act as entities all by themselves. So I love that. Okay, so I've got a lot about sacrament in here, communion. Now, because I call this feral beast an unholy, sacrilegious beast because it's antithetical to society, being feral, being wild, being untamed, being unbrushed, being rustic. Okay, a lot of those concepts are antithetical and abnormal, considered abnormal to society. Therefore, I hold those aspects in high regard, the unholy, the sacrilegious, and I use those words a lot. So I got unholy communion. Let me just read this one. Unholy communion. Eat of the flesh dangling from thorns that sway. Winds wind through sinew. Ringside seats of senses. Drink of my blood flowing and ponder the ebb, a heartstrings bow pulled back in ecstasy. Our cold, naked breaths mingle inside this unholy communion. A coming kiss of forever is resplendent hunger. Ugh. So it's almost like when I'm reading them out loud like this, and I'm out of the working phase of them. It feels kind of weird, like I'm hearing the voice again. Ooh, okay. Dance of the coming creature. A lot in here is about shape-shifting, because the shape-shifting, the witchcraft, the shape-shifting, the feral transformations that I like to take part in an ecstatic kind of a way, lives in this the feral part of my soul, the Night Mother's domain, if you will. So, oh, this one's good. Dance of the coming creature is good. Listen. 9 veils to replace the ones lost to kings. A dance so ingrained it runs through quiet dusks, choreographed to the tune of a necromancer's dale. Jump over torrid embers in scale-tipped forests. Twist the back from vile creature's burrow. Hands distend to vaults, once infernal firmament. Dance lurid becomings into vehement myths. So much about Salome in that poem. You know, the Dance of the 7 Veils. But I chose 9 because 9 is a sacred number to me. So, I don't know. I can just feel her sitting here, you know, because she is in me, but you know what I mean. Okay. The inhuman ghost. A lot of horror type images along this kind of section. The death crown. This one's good. Okay. I loved the naked breaths exuded when you punched me in the gut. Hurled inward in painful groans, I found the tarnished threads cut. We were locked in insane cravings, each in depths of all of our own renown. Bravely fighting for the throne, and in death I wore the crown. But the power doesn't last long, for ours is an infinite fight. Each of us are sisters in hell, a love only written in rites. We cackle nights to rise up, yet time stands still for beasts. Blood trickles down our chins, and in our hunger we shall feast. In the belly, excuse me. In the belly of bruised darkness, we brawl to link the threads again. Ego bridled and breathing hard, We sit down to lace and remember when. Man, it's about sacred sisterhood. Almost like a priestess. Ah, okay. Vast inner legends. I tend to have this thing about maps, you know, like legends, keys, maps, this whole pirate treasure thing. It's like I can't seem to get away from that. It like lives in my subconscious or something. Defilement. Defiled and exiled, take the miles from me. Mounted and rounded stomachs accounted coming. Up hills drives until the skills bring me home. Through sunless groves a sparrow is arrowed. Fallen in hollows, happy pharaohs did swallow. I laughed while cast the white plaster amassed. Forsaken, endlessly taken, hail, misshapen maidens. I felt Medusa there, which is weird. She didn't come when I wrote that. I feel her like here. Floating bones. That one's good too. I'm not going to read that one. That one's kind of long. Shape-shifting. Witch of the other. There is a part of the feral soul, the Night Mother, that's a witch. I do believe that she is a witch. Scarred Sanctuary. I'll share this one. This one's like the longest. And I'll go ahead and share that one. Okay? Oh, my knee though. I'm like sitting in a weird angle. I'm sharing this on my Substack in a couple of days. And so I feel like this one's probably going to be everywhere with the coming of this book. So I'll go ahead and read this one aloud. And it's a story. Okay? So it's called The Scarred Sanctuary. Fires burn, shaking violently from pockets methodically. Underground lava was raking, roiling metronomically. Pandemonium was under no sky, the embers kept their fall, standing alone on a bridge that shivered under thrall. Red liquid was cascading from wounds that never healed. Craned veins needn't conjure these rotting vapor peals. Screams coming from within lure me from my perch, activation in motion as I remember all my research. Giving off a battle cry, a vacant hollow from my throat, I walk ahead in confidence, although it is remote. The door shakes and comes alive. At my arrival, the metal clings. Chains now lay in surrender upon the hooks where they now hang. I turned around into a labyrinth coiled around the forever corridors, with no red thread apparent except the one my heart stores. After a while, in reverse and forward, I come upon the center. A vast, scarred sanctuary loomed, with a neon sign shining, enter. The wallpapers were flaking, unglued, inside this great box. I heard a great weeping, and moved closer there, in shock. Upon a bleeding throne sat a lone figure who withdrew, but with a clear voice whispered, "I've been expecting you." With another blink of my eyes, I became the throned one. Sitting in the massive chair, I began weeping just for fun. My soul awakened and wondered for another traveler to come. Someone creeps in the maze. I can feel their heartbeat drum. Ooh, sends a shiver up your spine, doesn't it? All right, here's another. This is a dark priestess. This is a free verse. Let me see if I can speak this right, because a lot of them live in the head. And I've talked about this before about my poetry, that a lot of my poems live in the head, and so many of them need to be spoken aloud. It's like something about their activation, right? But a lot of them, some of them do live in the head, which means that they may not sound right out of the head. Out. They need to be like kept in the mouth. But I'll try with this one. This one's called The Dark Priestess. The priestess cast the circle. The void shifted beneath. Gossamer shrouds rose up and tangled with the carpets. The abyss becomes the cauldron. The priestess performs magic, pulling from the dark ghosts, Liquid smoke drawn in the nostrils, exhaled in remembered evocations. The dark becomes the stage. So elaborate was this hymn that she used up all her energy. Trance states stole her breath. She fell into a deep dream, the empty, her cushioned friend. When the spell was thrown, she didn't close the lines, having fallen into a sleep. One arm hung in the hole, and apparitions played in the room. Bandit to the dam. Ooh, the burial chamber. I like this one. The soul becomes the chamber to which you call home. Lay naked in silent jest, buried deep in these catacombs. Rolled in fetal flutters, you lounge beside a wakeful heart. In the dead of night you stir, a tasteful summoning starts. Midnight lingers for eons, and I watch the clocks turn. In restless sleep I ponder the velvet that cannot burn. Together we offer a cacophony to the others who eternally sleep, filling vessels with experiences, always parallel and never cheap. Sabotage by Echoes. That's a warmongering poem, to be honest. And there's Blood Oaths. The Blood Oaths was really personal because I found that this was activated by doing an actual blood oath. I'm not going to say much more on YouTube about that, but this was like a real spell that I performed. And so when you read it, just a little FYI. Sulphurous Spy, The Unnatural, Shadow and Ice. This one was good because I had a vision before I wrote this poem. Shadow and Ice was about vultures, and it was about the fact that I was on this like desert road, but there was ice everywhere. It was really weird. It was a really weird vision I have. Most of my visions are weird. They're like waking dreams. And I had this vision and then wrote this poem. So I'll share this one with you. In darkness, I found the ice on my tongue, licked the scorched earth with birds circling above. They never stopped to ask, why must the ice bleed on your forgotten bones? Ice, molten and glacial, breaths send quaking chasms up to the mountain screams, with birds circling ahead. They never stopped to ask, why must mountains shake and dreams impaired? Paths lane in spittle, the way my knees melt, thoughts of God and home, to look up to the vultures. They never stop to ask, why do you pray us away instead of dying for our hunger? It's like this whole way I was trying to spit. I was melting because it was the desert. And I was like, look, I like became the mirage, you know? But it was like all like I was feeling like I was burning from ice. And I was licking the ice, but then I melted and became the mirage, all for these vultures to be circling me this whole time, like walking down this road, right? And they're like not cawing, they're like barking at me. What vultures do, they kind of bark. They bark at you, and it's like they were asking me, why can't you just die? Because we're hungry, you know? Tell you, weird stuff. So, that was funny. The Phantom's Poison. I love poison. I love bottles. I don't really know a witch who doesn't. The Wild Contract. I was signed away at birth, questions left without mirth. The basket now holds bread, a sacred offering instead. Because I am the contract, ever evolving yet intact. Your necklace I always wear, that was all you could spare. I call you mother now, the unborn soul is bowed. But there was no photo, so your face I do not know. With invisible contract in hand, I'll keep searching as planned. Forever we'll walk together, with this red signature tether. It was almost like when I was born, she awoke. And we signed this like document in blood that we will be together forever. It was like this weird soulmate, feral soulmate thing, you know? The draught taken. It's so weird because I love the word draught, as in D-R-A-U-G-T, but it's only a UK word. We say draft here in America for like a keg, like a draft beer. We don't say draught. We say draft. But I love the word itself, so I used it. I was like, fuck it. Draught was taken from the bow of the shipwreck, shouldered in the cove of uncertainty. So pleasant was the foam head from that forgotten ship's crew to be finally awarded ascension. Blessed are the lost pirates that helped raid the flags from the bottom of the sea. Wasted armor. I actually illustrated that one. That one's great. I like armor. I like this whole, like, you know, the Joan of Arc thing. When it comes to my soul and the pieces of that, I'm protected. Okay. This non-existence. That's the carrier pigeon brought down my convictions on its talons. Okay, I have to get a little emotional and get a little passionate about this poem. Just realize what this poem was. So it's about non-existence, but I'm like yelling this. I'm kind of like furiously yelling this poem. Okay, so just kind of imagine it. But that I have to get kind of passionate and act kind of like do this to say this out loud. So let me get into character. Okay. Again, this is called This Non-Existence. The carrier pigeon brought down my convictions on its talons. A warbled coo meets me in solemnity, awaiting a rolled response. I scribbled down one word, lost. For this word has many needs, and I wanted you to know that by flight I shall rise to the summons. Oh, this non-existence, rest, and shake loose internal bells and hells. Do not forsake me, you who is lost, where only the pigeons can dance. I love carrier pigeons. If I didn't think it was barbaric, I would love to have one. Send messages, okay, that's so cool. But who wants to be on my carrier pigeon list? People send messages, rolled messages. But again, I had this kind of vision that I can't access her, the Night Mother, in traditional ways. I have to think of unconventional ways. And it's because of this non-existence that she has, like this non-tangibility that she has. I can't just say, hey, Night Mother, come hither, you know? It doesn't work like that. It's like she almost demands that I go out of my way to find these unconventional ways of communication. I actually do have a rolled up scroll thingy, like a note that I've rolled up and put a ribbon on, in offering to her. You know, like when I send her things, I send her things in unconventional ways. And I don't know. This is just part of the crazy witchcraft that she lets me do. So, the undead fatigue. Oh. This vampiric ennui, okay? Literally vampiric ennui of this. Vampires have ennui because they're immortal. And I feel like the feral part, this unholy feral beast that is my feral soul, is undead, is a vampire, okay? In a way that they have the ennui because they'll never die. And their sadness is for me that I will. That they can't keep me forever. And it's like this weird... sorry about the sirens. This weird pull that we have with each other. So crazy. Like I said, this is really good. Matron of my souls. That one's a really good one. Again, I don't want to say all the good ones. Defiant mercy. The moon's last light. A lot of these are about night because I call her the Night Mother, and that tends to be when I do the most communion with her. The hellish abyss. Oh. Whispers between teeth. A lot of no, not a lot. There's a couple of erotic poems in here. Okay, just to warn you. And okay, for you guys, my YouTube family, I'm going to give you a little insight. There's a poem in here. I think it's called some sensual illusions or something like that, and it's about this vision. Well, you're picturing someone laying in a field naked, and they're touching themselves, okay, and they're in this kind of sexual communion with the night mother, right? That's what you get when you read the poem. But for you guys, for my YouTube family, I'm going to tell you a little secret, that poem is actually autobiographical. I've actually done what you read in the poem, okay? And I'm not going to read it out here, but just so you know, okay? I didn't even tell my beta readers that, because one of them actually mentioned that poem, and I was like, oh, do I tell them this? But, so if you read that poem, it's called Seductive Illusions. That's what it's called, Seductive Illusions. Just know that's an actual autobiographical poem. So, Nameless Effigy. Lessness haunts the shade. Your effigy peers around corners. I chopped the shrieks from your rotting roots and spit seeds back from design. Headless, nameless, formless, blowing breaths back into dreams. I slept for death under stars, with vessels wailing, a touch familiar lullaby. Dripped in molasses, the more viscous for seeping. I smoothed edges rougher, knives for carving scars, and sequins for eyes. Now, I like to make effigies. I like to make puppets, right? I usually make them out of clay. Usually. Just because I like the feel of clay. I like the tactile feel of it. I like to make my own. So I have a couple of effigies over there for a couple of things. And I like to add playful things like sequins and rhinestones and steel. Like I'll add a band of steel to one of them to act as armor, right? Like I'll make one of them have armor. Now, if you don't make your own effigies, if you don't make your own puppets, that's fine. I mean, use a Barbie. Use a Barbie. Consecrate her ass for something. Anything that you want as a puppet. So, but I love to make them. And I think this one was the one, this nameless effigy was so profound because making an effigy for the Night Mother is hard because it's your feral soul. It's not like it's a person. They'll never be a person. So I couldn't give them arms. I couldn't give them legs. I couldn't give them head, eyes. But it's like I needed them to have eyes. I needed them to have arms. I needed them to have legs because otherwise, how will they run after me? How will they touch me? How will they see me? How will they talk to me? Right? And it's like this weird deity modification that I grapple with because I don't consider them human, but I have to put some kind of human characteristics on them. I have to anthropomorphize them in some way. Otherwise, their communication is limited. And that it's kind of a scary thing, right? Like, I don't know. That's just my view, okay? It's just wisdom I'm learning when I talk to these beings. I do have one on here called amniotic symbiosis. It's rough. Okay, it's rough because I feel like when I birth things out into the world, be it children, no, I don't even want to say that. I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to. Just know it's rough, okay? Some of these are really vulnerable, and I cannot believe I put them in here. But it's like she demanded it. She was like, no, do it. And I'm like, oh. Like all this time, I'm like, you see, like my heart's open, and all you see is like blood squirting out like this. They're like, like that scene in Addams Family when they're done and all the blood squirting around, and then Morticia and Gomez are like, that's exactly what happened right there. manic paradises. This is about palm bleeding trees. I have a lot of visions of trees bleeding. I did actually a drawing, a crayon magic spell. I have a crayon magic book where it's a sketchbook that I only use crayons in, and I use those for channeling visions and stuff. And I have quite a bit, and when I go back and look at it, I have quite a bit of bleeding trees. So I put manic paradises as a commemoration of the fact that I don't really know why I have visions of trees bleeding. So, okay. Again, like I said, a lot of these are kind of fucked up and, you know, not fucked up. They're not fucked up, okay? I love you. I love you so much. But they're not happy. Okay? They're not happy. They're not all happy. Savage and savory. Yes. I'll read this one. I ate the sweet from the clouds. The beast of you met me there between all the savage and savory. Blend the failing stars from kisses, luscious calls from different days and quiet flying to the top of worlds. Any rolling chairs need not apply, for the access they no longer gain in the middle of violent nights. I ate the sweet from the universe. The beast of me met you there between all the savage and savory. A lot of beast wordage here. Possessed by hope. A lot of summoning too. I feel like a lot of them, oh, here we are, seductive illusions. The fair carcass. A lot of vulture culture with this too. A lot of vultures, mirages, deserts, desert at night. A lot of the sounds of night, the crickets, right? Like the dusk of things. There's a lot in here about night. And if you're interested in hearing the backstory of why it's called Night Mother, and why I call her Night Mother, when I did the personification of her a long time ago, I do go into a little bit of backstory about Night Mother in my Substack that's going to come out in a couple of days, come out on Wednesday. My Substacks come out on Wednesdays. So if you want to go and subscribe to that or just wait, and because all my posts are free right now. I didn't feel like setting it up to be paid. So you just wait until Wednesday and that'll come out. That Substack is going to be an essay on why I chose Night Mother. Those two words. The demoness of the fevered, a lot of fever, a lot of dreams, right? It's so REM cycle poetry, if that makes any sense. That's what a lot of this is. Bestial boons, right? Grief of the skins. That one's a long one. The destiny. A lot of destiny and fate, because that's where my belief lies. She dreams. Oh, I like this one because it just says, she dreams in realms and I only caught glimpses. And then at the very bottom, it says, doodle a dream here. She'd like that. It was like, I wasn't even going to put that there, but then, I don't know, something came over me and I was like, you should draw something here. Just draw something on this page. Trial by mutation. Again, a lot of transformation work here. Devoured while scrying. That one's pretty good. Sanguine troughs. Again, this like, y'all seen the movie Carrie? Okay, no. Y'all don't even have to see it. Do you know the picture of Carrie, Stephen King, covered in blood, prom queen kind of a thing going on, right? I had this vision that the Night Mother would come up through these blood troughs. These troughs, like what farm animals drink water out of, right? Or eat their slop out of. They're called troughs. And I've had this vision of this huge steel trough that people could make a tub out of. The whole thing's got blood in it, right? And then here comes like a Carrie figure. Here comes the Night Mother just rising up out of that. I actually illustrated it. Again, a lot of horror type drawings. But it's so vibratory, you know? The whole thing reads like a vibration. And a rotary phone. I think I'm going to add something about the rotary phone in the beginning of this. Anyway, I've been going on too long. So this is a 140-page book called The Night Mother. here's the cover of the book. I don't even know why I haven't showed you this. This is a picture of me. I experimented with double exposure and movement, like while hitting the flash, the click button, whatever. I don't even know what the click button's called. Whatever the click button is on a real camera, I moved and then double exposed and worked with that in that form. And this picture of me that I love for some reason came out, and I used that for the cover of this book. So it's not as a great cover as any of my other ones that I've come up with, but I really liked the simplicity of this one. So anyway, yeah, available Wednesday, July 31st, as a Lammas. A lot of my books this year have been coming out around the Wheel of the Year, around the Sabbath. So this will be kind of like a Lammas observation. So also, look, that's it, right? So for some information, I won't have another poetry collection come out until December, because I'm kind of working on some witchy books that might come out in October. So if I can meet all my deadlines for the next couple of months, then I may have at least one witchy book come out around October sometime, around Samhain. And then I won't put out my next poetry collection, which I've already pretty far into. I've already illustrated the whole thing. That's going to come out in December, I think. That's going to be my Yule poetry collection. But for September, and I'm going to let September go. School starting back up with the kids, all that. So I'm just going to let September slide and just kind of work on what I can, what I'm already trying to work on. So that's just a little information from moi. But if you want to keep up with me, then, I'll try to post as much as I can on here about when all of the stuff's coming out, and give y'all some updates as they come about. Subscribe to my Substack if you haven't already. I've been actually liking writing the essays for that so far. So, go and subscribe. Like I said, it's free. And if you want to be a beta reader, then you can go and hit me up in my email. It'll be the email in my link tree. So that's my LennonS_YouTube at yahoo.com. You can email me in that email, and we can correspond with how you can become a beta reader. And then all that really means is that I'll send you an email when I've got a book coming out, and you have the opportunity to get a free book, PDF book. I would really appreciate it if y'all would, or if y'all want to, if you love the books, to order it when they do come out. But you don't have to, okay? And then, of course, y'all can leave reviews and things like that. That always helps me. Y'all can leave them on Amazon or Goodreads, because I'm on Goodreads now, and they have all my books on there. So you can rate them there too. Anyway, so there's some information about some books. The stuff that I'm coming out the rest of the year, right? But Night Mother, I'm super excited. Little nervous to be sharing it, but the beta readers got back to me and gave me some good feedback, so that's really boosted my confidence a little. So anyway, love you guys so much. Can't wait for you to get your hands on this. And I'll talk to you soon, okay? I hope everyone's having a magical day. Much love.